Okay, so now we've got forces that are acting on a point in a plane. We've got two forces, 15 and 22 newtons. The angle between them is 100. So if I were to sketch that out, I'm just going to draw my 15 newtons horizontally. And then from the same point, because they're acting on a point, which is right here, on a plane, the angle between them was 100 degrees. So I'm going to make my second force have a little bit slightly longer magnitude. I guess we could shorten that. And then we know that the angle between them is 100 degrees. We need to find the resultant force, basically, the magnitude. Day one, we said we could draw the resultant as far as basically cutting the angle, and then we would estimate the magnitude, but that's really tricky. So the second method that we did was we were to take our vectors and, let me grab a different marker, where one vector stopped, the second vector started. So if I were to do that process, that's my 22 newton vector. You can see that's definitely legal. I have just taken my force vector and slid it over. It's got the same direction and the same magnitude, so I haven't done anything illegal. And if you notice, now my resultant, just like before, connects the very first to the very last. That's what I'm looking for. That's going to be my magnitude that I need. Right there is my x. Problem being, this 100 degrees, we don't know what it was split into, so we can't use it right now. But what we can do is we can think of this as my 15 newtons. And if you've noticed, we just created a parallelogram. It is not a rectangle because that's not 90 degrees, but it has very similar properties. So both sides are congruent, opposite sides are congruent. And we also know, this is very important, that opposite angles are congruent and the adjacent angles are going to be supplementary, meaning that they add up to 180. So using that property of a parallelogram, I now know that this angle is 100 degrees, which still doesn't help us because it's being split, but that these two angles are 80 degrees, so that in total we get our 360 degrees. Now that's very useful because if we're looking for the magnitude, we've got side angle side, we can go through and do our law of cosines to find the magnitude of the force, and we're done.